The first escape we're going to look at is arguably our most fundamental escape when we find ourselves in the mounted position. And this is the elbow escape, sometimes referred to as the knee elbow escape. So, with my opponent here in the full mount, her hands are on the floor, and if they're not on the floor, she's seated upright, we'll begin by placing her hands on the floor. Now I really want to stop my opponent's forward progress. I don't want her to be able to walk these knees up, where now my ability to get elbow wedges becomes complicated. So instead, I just frame at my opponent's waist. Now the big note here is that I want to keep my elbow at my opponent's hip. Whenever my elbow drifts across my opponent's center line, this is when back exposure becomes immediately available, and I really want to eliminate that. Good news for us, it's quite easy to eliminate. I just keep that elbow at the hip. My second elbow is going to come inside of my opponent's knee, and I'm going to place one hand over the other. I can now stop my opponent from walking her knees up and advancing into attacking positions. Now that I've done so, my next goal is to win inside knee position. The way we're going to do this is by straightening our leg. Sometimes, if I just kick my leg straight from here, it's easy enough to start working this knee into the inside position. If my opponent's feet are a little closer together, I might have to first bridge or hip escape, and from here, I start walking that knee up. Now, from this position with our frames in place, in an inside knee position, I have the ability to start bringing my knee under my opponent's ankle. And now from here it becomes an easy thing to step over the ankle, lock a figure four, and keep our knees together. What this gives me is control over my opponent's ankle. And because the ankle is connected to the knee through the shin, if I manipulate the ankle by turning my hips in the opposite direction, the effect it has is it raises my opponent's knee. This is very important. With my elbow on the inside position and my ability to raise this knee, I now have the ability to walk my bottom knee up and capture my opponent's knee and place it on the floor. As I do this, my top hand is immediately going to start working on preventing my opponent's crossface and securing a bicep tie. What this looks like is as I shift my hips, my hand comes first to my head and then blocks my opponent's arm. In addition, we're making a special note to use our elbow at the knee rather than our hand. When we use our hand, now my elbow starts drifting away from the body, my opponent takes an underhook, walks the arm up, and we might have to start all over. Moreover, if I keep my elbow tight to my hip, as I win the bicep tie on the far side, I'm able to take the underhook here and now solidify my half guard. Let's look at that again. My opponent has the full mount. I put her hands on the floor and I frame at the waist. I win inside elbow position, and now I work to win inside knee position by straightening my leg and moving my hips away. From here I can begin to walk the knee up and raise my opponent's ankle. That gives me the ability to capture it, lock a figure four, and keep my knees together. Now as I face my hips in the opposite direction, I'm able to capture my opponent's knee and now win upper body control. First, with a bicep tie, and second, with an underhook. Now from here we solidify our half guard with a figure four on the outside, or if we wish, we can transition to other forms of half guard that we might prefer to play. Let's take another look from a different angle. My opponent takes the full mount. I bring her hands to the floor and I frame at the waist. I win inside elbow position and inside knee position. I capture the ankle and lock my figure four. I face my hips toward the ceiling and I capture my opponent's knee. Now from here I make sure to prevent the cross face and I score my far side underhook. I solidify the position with a figure four, or I can transition to other forms of half guard that we might prefer.